Hello students. Today we are going to learn about a topic, soil pollution. Now when I am talking about soil pollution, this is one of the most major concern that earth is actually facing these days. Okay, right? Now when we are talking about soil pollution, the earth, if you have seen images in, say, this various search engines which are available these days, you can see a big hole dug in the soil. Okay, and when you see the borders of the hole, you can see some plastic coating around that hole. Okay, right? Now plastic, you know that it doesn't allow the water to percolate. Okay, now by use of plastic and by use of CFCs, by use of gases which are harmful, by use of chemical fertilizers, okay, then by use of pesticides, okay, now what are we doing? We are actually decreasing the efficiency of the soil. Okay, now this soil pollution is a man-made disaster only. Okay, if I have to sum it up, it is a man-made disaster because we have invented new things for our good purpose, but in turn, what are we giving? We are giving pollution to the soil. Now soil has a property of percolation of water, okay, percolation of nutrients. Okay, now when this is occurring there, when the percolation rate is reduced, percolation means the seeping rate of the soil. Okay, when that percolation rate is disturbed by the hindrance of, say, plastics, okay, by use of certain CFCs, okay, by use of certain chemicals. Okay, now all these, what is happening? These are being absorbed by the soil, and these nutrients are again getting back into the human system or any organism system through plants or through animals that we are consuming. Okay, so soil pollution is one of the major cause that earth is actually dealing with these days. Okay, right? Now before we go into the actual topic, that is soil pollution, we will just see the small introductory part about how soil is formed, what are the types of soil, and how is the soil actually forming by weathering process. Okay, right? What are the physical factors, what are the chemical factors, what are the biological factors involved in the soil formation? All these things we'll be looking at before we get into the actual topic of soil pollution. Okay, so let's move on. Now, what is soil? So all of you know that soil is a mixture. You can say that it's a mixture. Okay, right? It's not an element or a compound. It's a mixture because we don't have any fixed proportions of chemicals involved in the formation of soil. Okay, right? So it's called as a mixture, and it also has certain organic components in it. Okay, right? So let's see what they are. So if we look at soils, what is soil in a big picture? Okay, so technically if you are looking at it, so soil is a mixture that contains minerals, organic matter, and living organisms. Okay, right? Then broadly speaking, if we talk about it in a very broad sense, soil can refer to any loose sediment. So loose sediment means what? Say for example, okay, right? So these are basically the depositions of various say rocks. Okay, various rocks which are underneath the earth. Now say for example, if you're traveling from Kurnool to Banaganapalli in, say, from in Andhra Pradesh, if you're traveling there, okay, you can see sedimentation rocks like this. Okay, you can see sedimentation rocks like this. They are stacked upon one on the other. They're stacked like this. They're just like a stack. Okay, you can see the actual stacking also, and those rocks are pretty loose. Okay, right? Now broadly speaking, soil can refer to any loose sediment. Moreover, there are many types of soil that are distributed around the world, and these are generally classified into the following. So you have the clayey soil, you have the sandy soil, you have the loamy soil, and you have the silt type of soil. Okay, so these soils are distributed around the world. Okay, right? They are distributed around the world, and each soil will have its own nutritive value for the plants and animals as well, which are actually using the soil as a shelter. Okay, children. Now, if we go further into all these type of soils, it will be a social science class. So I would just like to just look upon it as a biology class, wherein I will just tell you that these are the types of soil, that is clayey soil, sandy soil, loamy soil, and silt soil. Okay, right? So moving on to the next part. Okay, so typically the soil contains 45% of minerals, 50% empty spaces or voids. Okay, 50% of empty spaces, then, and 5% organic matter. Furthermore, soil performs many important functions. So we'll look at the functions, but before we look at the functions, I'll just tell you that soil consists of 45% of minerals here, as you can see here. Okay, then 50% of empty spaces or voids. Okay, so 50% of empty spaces is coming to this category here. Okay, right? Air and water. Okay, right? So some part of it has air in it and some part of it has water in it. So empty spaces or voids means what? Which does not have any space. Okay, so say for example, if I am using this, okay, and to show you, so this is a soil sample and this is a void inside that. Okay, this is an empty space. Okay, right? And also the soil contains water, and you have 5% of organic matter. Okay, you have 5% of organic matter in the soil. All right. Now let's look at some of the most important functions that the soil performs or it is giving us. Okay, right. The first important function is it is providing a growth medium for the plants. Okay, so this is one of the most important criteria, because without plants, other living organisms cannot survive, because they are considered as what? They are considered as producers. Okay, they are considered as producers. Okay, so they provide growth medium for the plant. So when I say growth medium here, okay, when I'm saying growth medium here, growth medium is it contains all the necessary nutrients which are required for the growth of a plant. Say for example, you have NPK, okay, sodium, phosphorus and potassium, which are the major things. Then you have calcium, okay, which is required by the plant. Then you have excuse me, then you will have your say water, which is required for the plant. Okay, then you have the sap, which is required for the plant, okay, for the root to absorb. So all these nutrients are coming under the growth medium. So this soil is providing those plants with the growth nutrients, growth medium. Okay, now because of that, the plant is actually growing. Okay, and then because the plant is growing, they are in the top category, that is the producers, on which the other organisms are dependent. Okay, now moving on to the second topic, acts as a modifier of the Earth's atmosphere. So modifier of the Earth's atmosphere means what? Now let's go back to millions of years ago, or say billion of years ago. Okay, now the Earth was not like this before. Millions of years ago, the Earth was not like this. Okay, right? Now earlier, when the Earth was forming, soil there played a major role, because there were no oceans and all. So what happened? The soil actually played a major role. That means what? It allowed the life to sustain in itself. Okay, so whatever the above atmosphere threw onto the soil, it got absorbed into the soil, and they were stored as nutrients, which then were utilized by the organisms, and the first bacteria which was surviving on the earth came into existence. And then you have the oceans forming, then you have the life which has formed in the ocean, and then those animals came out and they started surviving on land, basically depending upon the requirements. Okay, so those requirements for the animals which came out of the ocean and started living on land, that soil was actually acting as a modifier of the Earth's atmosphere. So because of the soil, the Earth's atmosphere got modified and the producers were able to grow, and the other life was able to get sustained on on our planet. Okay, now then moving on, one of the most crucial components of the biosphere. Now biosphere is what? Biosphere is a living part of the system, of the ecosystem. Okay, right? So depending upon the types of say soil, the types of nutrients available in the soil, the animals and plants got diversified. They got diversified and they also survived depending on what the soil components were given to them. Okay, so they have adapted. So I can say that soil has actually played a very important role in categorizing the animals into different biospheres. All right, now moving on. Now provides habitat for organisms. So as you all know that if you go to say look at a National Geographic channel or a Discovery channel or Sony BBC Earth channel, so if you're going to look at them, or an Animal Planet, okay, you will see many animals and many say birds, okay, many say chimpanzees are there, then elephants are there, tigers are there, lions are there, and in fact humans are also there. Okay, right? So this soil, depending on its fertility, okay, depending on its fertility, it provided habitat for the organisms. Okay, it provided habitat for the organisms to sustain there. Okay, right? Now say for example, if the water, if the soil has a lot of organic matter present in it, okay, say for example if the soil is containing more than say 20 to 25% of organic matter in it, it is called as an organic soil, and it is very, very fertile. Okay, right? So when it is fertile, there is a lot of human intervention which you see over there, and the human habitats start developing around it, and then the humans will start agriculture and they'll start growing. Okay, right? So in the same way, the other organisms also, depending on the soil, they are different. Say if we are talking about deers and vegetarian, or I will not say vegetarian, I will say plant-eating animals. Okay, so they have distributed themselves around the Earth's surface depending on the soil condition over there. Okay, right? So different plants grow at different soil conditions. So the animals also have adapted according to that. So these are some of the most important functions, okay, of soil. Okay, so what are they? I'll just go through them once again. Providing a growth medium for plants, then acts as a modifier of the Earth's atmosphere, then one of the most crucial components of biosphere, and then provides habitat for organisms. So these are the main important functions of the soil. So today now we have seen what is soil. Basically, technically, if you look at soil, it contains minerals, organic matter, and living organisms. Then if you're speaking about it broadly, then you will have various you have sediments. Okay, so they're basically referred to as loose sediments, and then you can look at various types of soils like clay soil, sandy soil, loamy soil, and silt soil. Okay, so I hope that you have understood what soil is. Okay, and I'll see you in the next session. Thank you so much.